观众朋友好，欢迎收看最新一期的子天访谈录 SD Talk Show， 我是子天 Sky 董。Welcome to SD Talk Show and Happy New Year. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Sky. How are you?
Good. It's a Lunar New Year time.
So this is the year of the tiger. Are you feeling strong as a tiger?
Yeah, I think so. I like you speech that day for our Texas Lunar New Year. You say this year is a tiger, special year.
Yes.
More energy.
Yes, I had a great time. Today we have a guest, and her name is Deanna Robertson.
Yes.
And Deanna is Deanna is running for state representative in District 127. So you and I will be representing the people.
Yeah.
To ask Deanna a question, why is she running? Okay. Hello, Deanna.
Hello,
Would you like to
Deanna.
say hello to the audience?
Hello.
Yes. Is there any opening you want people to know a little bit about you before we start?
Yes, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a Christian, small business owner, never aspired to be into politics, but here we are with what's going on in the world today, and I felt like as a grandmother and my child going through the public education system, I felt like I really needed to step up and step in and see if we can't change from Texas being 41st in the school districts to maybe make that a lot better for our future, for our children's future.
Right, so you want to do something that you have never done before.
Correct.
You're about to step into an arena that you're very unfamiliar with.
Yes.
Take a lot of courage.
A lot of courage.
What gave you the courage to do that, Deanna?
I would say my granddaughter and Jesus. I mean, I couldn't do it without either one of those motivating factors in my life. I see her and I see her future, and then all of our children's future. They depend on us, and if we don't do something different, we don't get involved, then I don't even want to imagine what could possibly happen.
I guess you speak to you indirectly.
Yes.
Because of her futures, that's why you decided to step. What did Jesus say?
Jesus shone a light on a bunch of things in my life, put a bunch of people in my path that asked me to run for office. And at first I dismissed it immediately because, no, I would never run for politics. I didn't want to be involved. Right. But then it just kept happening on sign after sign. Working in the volunteer at the animal shelter where I work, I met a bunch of amazing volunteers that were pushing me to run, and so I did, and here we are.
So before running, you had involved with different community activities.
Oh yes, most definitely.
That's why you found out about the needs of the people.
Yes, and communicating. Family and community are two of the most important things to me. You can't have either one without putting yourself out there. So when we flood up in Kingwood, the community up there is amazing. In fact, we just had a tornado not too long ago that came through, and you can go on every street and see neighbor after neighbor cutting trees. We didn't rely on the city system to come help us. So the community is amazing.
How District 127 has huge populations.
Yes.
So how do you know for sure you understand the needs? I mean, what are the priorities? How do you know that?
I don't know how anybody would know that without going and asking each person, which is what our campaign has been doing. We have been knocking on doors and asking people what's important to you.
Okay.
And then we've been asking them also if they have any solutions. If they were in charge, what would they like to see fixed and how would they fix it? It's been a very huge eye-opening learning experience.
Is there anything else that you want to add?
Yes.
To why?
Yes. Normally the people have 5 priorities.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw the list, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 10. And there have many, I think I'm really interested. Can you talk about like this?
Yeah, so there's actually even more now that I've been involved so long. This was just the start of what my community had told me that they were concerned about. And then as I've learned and knocked on doors and talked with mothers, grandmothers, fathers, husbands, sons, They're all telling me different things that they would like to see addressed, and so we've even got more issues than that. Term limits is a huge one for me.
Right.
School choice and ending property tax, boosting the economy. Yeah.
Let's talk about property tax.
Yes.
You know, I think this is a very appropriate topic for our audience.
Yes.
Who are investors, business owners. Nobody wants to pay property tax.
Right.
And there have been a lot of politicians who promised to eliminate, I'm talking about not reducing property
Right.
tax, eliminate. How could you do that?
Well, you can do something like James White has proposed in HB 59, where you switch over to a consumption tax. And then the idea is that more people would be paying into the consumption tax, and allows for people to actually own property now and own it. So that would boost the economy and incentivize people to buy property, whether it be a house or business. So it's actually a good thing. And then with the property, I mean, the consumption tax, you have more people paying into the system that otherwise weren't paying into the system. So it's a great idea in theory when you read the bill.
Okay, so basically you shift the tax burden from property owners
Yes.
to consumers.
Yes, and we all consume. We all go
Yeah.
shopping. We buy on Amazon, and we buy at the local store.
Do you think consumer will oppose that idea? Would that be fair? As a matter of fact, the reason I asked you that because this idea is not new.
Right.
I have heard that proposal
Right.
over and over again, Deanna. So what make you believe that you can accomplish that this time?
Well, I think if there was a true understanding of the consumption tax and what that means, and then the idea that it would boost the economy, and the idea that you would have more property owners, if people truly understood that, I don't think that they would oppose the small consumption tax. So we don't want a state tax, and we don't want property tax.
So no zero property tax at
Correct,
all.
zero property
But
tax.
as you know, property tax is a huge portion of tax revenue for city and for the state.
Right. But if we rein in the spending, right? I mean, if we could get committees that were formed, oversight committees of the spending, and cut that out, the needless spending, clean up our school system. That's where a lot of the property taxes go, is to our schools.
Right.
It would be, to me, it makes sense on paper. We would have to
Right.
see it in actuality,
Right.
but it does make sense when you look at it on paper.
Right. I'm pretty sure you have done a lot of research on this topic.
Yes.
So why wasn't it successful?
I couldn't find out why the bill was killed, why it didn't go out of committee. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
And there's no blogs on it, there's no mention of it. It just didn't come out of committee.
Okay, got it. Is there anything else you want to add to property tax? What do you think?
Yeah, I think property tax also pay a lot to the school, right? So if we not pay property tax, then where is the money from?
So where does the money come from for the schools?
Yeah.
So you would clean up
Consumers.
the spending, right? And then you would also have school choice. School choice is the idea that the parents can take their children to any school that they seem aligns with their values, right? That allows them to be able to teach them the things that they want them to learn. If you have a voucher system that follows the children, you're creating a competitive market within the public school system. So it causes them to be better. It causes them to learn more, to rise to the occasion,
Right.
to hire better teachers. And so when we do that and we challenge things like the Supreme Court case, Plyler v. Doe, that allows for illegal immigrants to
Right.
be in our school system and wearing it down as opposed to building it up,
Right.
then it doesn't cost as much. And there would be competitive market.
So you believe in free choice. You believe in the voucher systems.
Yes.
So you can pick. So geographically, you believe that those parents can decide to send their children to any school.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. What if that would create an imbalance in the school system? Let's say if there's one good school and they send all the children from everywhere to that school, what would happen to the school that is less qualify for less quality than the other one?
They would have to rise to the occasion, right?
Oh, okay, like
Yeah.
competitive spirit.
Yes, very much so. Just, I mean, our capitalistic market runs on the ideology of, you're able to do your public school, you're able to
like-
do your public
I
school,
like
I'm
that.
able to have mine.
Right, you.
And if my public school happens to be the one that everybody wants to go to, what do?
Got
You
you.
either stop or you rise to the level of
Right.
desire.
That is very interesting concept. So you believe the school should operate as a free enterprise,
Yes.
like an independent business.
Most definitely.
And they have to compete, they have to plan, they have to be attractive enough to attract students.
Yes.
Then if they can't, they collapse or
Right, and then they go away, and the bad ones are
and
gone.
the good one, yeah.
And the good ones remain, and then
How about the transportations geographically?
right. Well, unfortunately, there is going to be some. For instance, right now in the 5th Ward and the 3rd Ward and the
Yeah.
4th Ward, there's schools that aren't very living up to what they're supposed to be
Right,
doing.
right.
And so they're in a place where maybe the parents couldn't have transportation. But we already have a busing system. I don't know why we couldn't look into utilizing that bus system to go outside the area. We also have in Houston, the Metro.
Right.
So there is options to
Gotcha.
get them to where they need to go. And as far as there being a wait list or everybody wanting to go to that one school,
Right.
I think that we would be able to work around that as well, because a lot of the private schools have wait lists.
Right. So there's some challenge that need to be solved.
Yes.
It's not perfect. but
No, no.
I got you. Earlier you mentioned that you're not happy with the school, the public systems.
Right.
What is it that you're unhappy about?
Well, they've taken out, or they've tried to take out all of the vocational programs that we had. They've tried to implement pornographic material into our libraries. They're
What do you mean by that? You mean talking like a nudity, like
Yes.
like porn?
graphic books. I've been shown from the parents images that I don't even want in my brain of what they're teaching our children.
But you talk about these high school students are minors.
Elementary. So we're talking
You're not talking about human anatomy, right?
not human anatomy. So
It's not for the purpose of educational.
no, not at all. And it's very graphic. It goes into very graphic
Really?
details.
Wow.
Yes.
I did not know that.
And so on top of what they're trying to teach our children and destroy the family values, the family unit, there's no vocational courses. They're trying to get rid of music. In some classes, there's no PE, which is the physical education. I think that's very important to our children.
Right.
Right.
I remember when I was back in high school, they had a different vocational career program like mechanics,
Right.
Carpenter, flower. You're saying that they're eliminating that totally.
They're trying to do that completely away with that. Yeah.
What is the argument for that?
Honestly, I don't know. More curriculum, more testing. I haven't been able to figure that out.
But these high school, what if they argue that these high school students are still young? If they like to choose a vocation, they can do that in a community college.
Right.
So how do you argue that?
I look at the curriculum that we've got right now. So you take 13 years of English from kindergarten to your senior year. That's 13 years of English. And then same thing with math and sciences. A little bit of the government courses are taken that way. But at some point, even when I was in high school, you've had enough. You're bored. There's nothing else. And we should be teaching taxes. We should be teaching economics. We should be teaching, and not just a semester on economics, not just a semester on government. We need to put focus on what these children that are about to graduate and go into the real world are about to experience. And we
Right.
need to teach them that so that we set them up to win, not to fail.
Got you.
Same thing with college. Everybody, they're talking about right now with the colleges, students are taking debt that they can't pay back. And I think most of it's because they don't understand what debt they're taking on.
Right.
Not that someone's tricking them or being malfeasant about how they're trying to get them to take these loans. Maybe there is some of that too.
Right.
But I think they just don't understand the loans that they're taking.
Right, right. So what else about the school system that you do not like before we move on to next topic?
Yes, so the fact that you can't choose, the fact that they're testing these students and they're basing the pay of the teacher, they're basing the pay of the school system.
What do you think about the fact that they take God out of the
Oh, yeah.
and the Pledge of Allegiance and all that?
They've taken God out of everything. You can still pray on the school grounds. Everybody is allowed to do that. But I don't want them to take the God out of the Pledge of Allegiance. That doesn't make any sense to me.
But who said that? Who proposed that God will be taken out of the allegiance?
I don't know. I didn't know that that was an issue right now, honestly.
Yes, I've heard that. I want to be very fair.
Yeah.
When we accuse something, we have evidence, but I don't see any proposal from the Democrats saying that God should be taken out. But by the way, I see that Democrat prayer.
Yeah. No, I've not seen that either.
Okay, let me ask you this: you classify yourself as a Republican.
Yes.
What is a Republican?
A Republican to me is very conservative, that wants the best for society, that puts the needs of others before their own, and works together as a community for community and family. Republican can be labeled as old-fashioned, but it's free enterprise, less government. A Republican to me is very much community-based.
They classify Republican into different levels.
Yes.
They're very extreme and a bit neutral.
Yes.
A moderate, if you will. Which one are you?
I would say that I'm more on a little right. That's, as far as
far right.
Far right, yeah.
Got you.
Not moderate, but just a little bit to the right, but only because I want to protect the sanctity of our family. I want to secure our border. And that's how I'm labeled, as far right.
Right. So you're running as a Republican ticket.
Yes.
Correct. So that means you cannot associate or support Democrat in order to get support. What do you think about that? What if you have some good Democrats who love this country, who are honorable, who have good character?
Right. You work with them. You build a relationship and a rapport with them. If they are good and they have the best interests of heart of the constituents of America, why wouldn't you cross those boundaries and work together? It doesn't make sense to me that you have to label somebody Republican and Democrat and not be able to work with each other.
It's good that we have an ideology, but the only sad part is that sometimes that is among our family. We are part of the community. I mean, our family, our relative, our friend in school. I mean, we always have different.
Yes.
So the fact that if we consider the opposite political affiliation is enemy, what do you think about that?
I don't think that they're enemy. You can have enemies within your family unit, within your community. Just because there's these labels,
But they are American. I've seen some good patriotic American.
Yes.
You know what happened when the two parties come together, when we're facing crisis.
Yes.
With
like
the enemy,
September
you
11th,
see exactly. You see that. Oh my God.
And why do we always have to wait for some tragic event like that to happen before we come together and do what's right for America or the citizens or people? I've actually posted about that several times.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Why do we always wait for a tragedy?
I love that. I love it's when the whole country coming together.
Yes.
I remember when President Bush announced, to go into war with the enemy, and then he got the whole support.
Yes.
From all parties across the aisles. That's what's beautiful.
Yes.
Right. Well, wow. So you have shared with us some issues. Okay, let's talk about term limits.
Yes.
So you don't like professional politicians. Tell us about it.
Career politicians. So if you look it up, they're supposed to be a public servant, right? They're supposed to go in and fight for what they believe is right, and then go home.
Yes.
And we're not doing that. And everybody's.
But the question is, how long is good enough?
Yeah, that's.
1 term, 2, 3.
So that's
terms?
the problem. I think that's what Senator Cruz and other people are running into, is how long should they stay in? And some of the constituents that I've talked to about this at length some believe that there should be 3 terms or 4 terms, because what happens when you have someone that's good, that's doing their job? You want them to stay. You don't want them to have to go, right? And that's one of the drawbacks that I'm hearing. But for the most part, if there were term limits, then that shows you that if you want to get reelected, you go in, you do what you're supposed to do, the constituents like you, they reelect you, and so on and so forth for the 3 or 4 terms. That's what I'm leaning towards. And then you go home, and then you give someone else an opportunity.
But the sad part is that they don't want to go home.
Yes, I know.
They want to choose Washington to be their home.
Yeah.
They want Austin to be their home.
Yes, I don't understand that. I don't.
So if you get elected, you will serve
3 or 4
3
terms.
or 4 terms.
Yes.
That is a promise.
Yes, that is a promise. I promise that, yes. I didn't want to be in politics, and I didn't want to run, but the fact that I'm here, I can tell you I don't want to be here more than 3 or 4 terms.
Yes, the sad part is that a lot of those people, professional politicians, they try to serve because of the lifetime benefits.
Yes.
I thought that was sad, it was pathetic, it was malfunctional.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's like a job, like a career.
But only
you should not get paid to be a politician. You know what I mean? It's not a job.
Right. It's a public servant position and should be treated as such. It should be an honor to be able to help your constituents, help your district, help the people, your neighbor, right, that lives next to you.
It's just very shameful for these career politicians to depend on the government for living.
Yes.
What do you think, Sky?
Yeah.
You believe in term limits?
Yes. And I also really want to ask the first one, family first.
Yes.
Yeah. This one I think is most important.
There's not much we can argue with that, right?
Yeah. So, and a lot of people ask me, what do I mean by family first?
Yeah.
But, in society, if you listen to the buzzing and what's going on, they're trying to destroy the family unit and say that the mother is a birth person. And I enjoy the sanctity of family. I think it's all of the diversity, like we talked about at University of Houston. The thing that I loved the most is that everybody had the common idea that the grandparents were important, the mother and father were important. Christianity, honor thy mother and thy father. And we're destroying that. So it's very important, yes.
What if you have a fellow Republican arguing that it's got to be God first? Country and family. So how do you respond to that?
Yes. Well, so I do believe God is first, but I mean, as far as my issues go, family first.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding with you.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Sky. I don't know why Deanna. I mean, she has a good family.
Yeah.
Looks like a very nice husband. She has beautiful dogs. She seems to have a very peaceful life.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to jump into the rough water.
Yes. We were actually.
You have any ideas what is waiting for you ahead if you get elected?
I'm learning.
It's rough than ever.
Yeah, it's insane. It's been so much fun though, and it's been a lot of stress, some crying, some celebrations. I don't have any idea really what's ahead of me if I were to be elected.
You just have faith.
But I'll take it. Yes,
faith.
I have faith, and I'll take it just one day at a time, exactly like I've been.
How do you handle negative, unfair accusations, which is a part of the process?
Oh, yeah. So I have somebody right now that's on my Facebook trying to be negative and slanderous, and that's okay. I mean, they're allowed to do that, and then I just don't partake and don't participate in it.
Yeah.
They have the right to their verbiage and their opinions, but I also have the right to abstain.
Right.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, though, that
Yes,
I did come out of semi-retirement from our business. So my husband...
You're a business owner.
Yes. So we own our own business there in Kingwood. But he does a lot of the working. I just do the taxes in the office manager position. So we were kind of semi-retired. So this has been huge.
You got 100% support from your spouse.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. I think he was more excited about it than I was in the very beginning. Yes. Yeah, he thinks that we need good people, honorable people, people with values.
Wow. I mean, politics is more challenging than ever.
Oh, yes.
Before it was fun, but with all the conflicts, of the divisions and all the anger.
Yes. Well, and I think something happens too, right? I mean, obviously people go in with good intentions and then something happens.
Yeah.
And changes whatever their plan was or their ideology was. I mean, we all can clearly see that something changes because they give us these platitudes of what they're running on, and then nothing ever happens.
Right.
So something is afoot, and I'd like to find out. Yeah.
Awesome. So you will fight for Texas?
Yes.
You're a fighter for Texas?
Yes. I'm a fighter for Texas. I'm a fighter for my neighbor. I'm a fighter for the district.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I guess our last question is that why do you believe that you are more qualified, or people should vote for you over your opponent?
Yes. Because I have been advocating for others for over 17 years as a retired medical field.
Before that, you were a nurse.
Yes,
yes. Yeah.
And I'm not a career politician. This isn't the logical next step for me, right? This is what I think like our jury pool should be, where you go in, you serve, and then you go home. But for my opponent, I mean, this is the logical next step for them. And for me, I offer fresh ideas, new perspective.
So you think fresh ideas is more important than experience?
Well, I think that anybody can be trained to do anything.
Right.
Right? And I think anybody can learn to do anything. I don't think you need to have experience per se in any job. Yeah.
Also, they said if you're in a picture, you don't see the frame.
Yes.
And sometimes that you need new perspective.
Yes.
Well, with that, I mean, we appreciate you for getting on the shows, and Sky and I, you know, our job is to appreciate you reach out, and then we give you the platform.
Yes, thank you very much.
To talk to the audience, and of course, you know, whatever decision, the final decision, but I appreciate you come in, and we wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you very much.
Is there any final words that you want to tell the audience before we leave?
Happy New Year, and go out and vote. Even if you don't vote for me, if I'm not in your district, vote. The primaries are very important.
Yes, and our guest today is Deanna Robinson, candidate for the House District of 127.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Sky?
新年快乐.
新年快乐.
Yeah. It's a Chinese Lunar New Year.
Yes. And it's the water tiger, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the tiger year, it's the water tiger year.
Yeah. You know a lot.
Wow, look at how technical she is. Wow.
Well, I was born in the tiger year too, 1974.
Oh, so you're a tiger?
Yes.
Well, go out there and be a tiger, be a fighter for Texas.
Yes.
Tiger fighter for Texas. That's great. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
这就是今天的子天访谈录. We see you next week.
Yes.